again to our 5th episode of the Revell Model Kit News Show.
Hey there. I'm just editing the episode and Stefan, my colleague from marketing, just sent me a discount code exclusively for all of you who are watching the video right now. It's YouTube 20 and it's for every sale over 40 euros until 31st of December. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I'm going to finish the episode now. Bye.
First of all, hi Luke again.
Hi everyone.
So what have you been up to lately? You have been traveling a bit, right?
Yes, in Germany at the moment recording. This is a few weeks after Telford that we're recording, so that's another time that I've been driving around the country a bit. Mixed in with the normal day-to-day duties of the job and a bit of research here and there. So yeah, I've been everywhere. Yesterday, flying into Bunda, I had a slight emergency on the plane. We had to turn around.
What?
So yeah, we took off from London Heathrow, got over the Netherlands. I think we're about 15 minutes from Hannover, 20 minutes from Hannover. And we did a loop and ended up back at Heathrow and were greeted by fire engines and police cars. So that was exciting.
What?
Yeah. Apparently the brakes weren't working, so we had to land back. So an inconvenient day, but
Okay,
hopefully...
so we learned today that the brakes work better on English soil than in Hannover.
I think it's that we have a longer runway so that we don't run off the end.
Yeah. Yeah, Hannover is not that long runway, right? Or maybe you had to go to Frankfurt or so. Yeah, cool. So I'm going to share the screen. And the first thing is, let's talk a little bit about Telford. You brought some pictures and maybe some stories. What have you been up to in Telford? Yeah,
so it's my first time in blue, shall we say, at Telford. The UK team were there last year. This is sort of a move to be more transparent as a brand, try and appear at more shows so we can engage with people, so especially within the UK, which is obviously where I'm primarily based. So a lot of that stand on the screen is able to fit in the back of my Vauxhall Astra, which you wouldn't believe when you see the size of it. So it gives us flexibility to go to weekend shows, smaller shows, not just the big ones like Telford. We're indebted to the IPMS Cown Club, which build a lot of our models in the UK. So thank you guys. And it was a great weekend had by all. I didn't stop speaking. My voice took a bit of a battering over the weekend. Every time I finished a conversation, I was being turned to speak to someone else, but it's all part of the fun. It doesn't help when you're dressed in bright blue. It's not like anyone can miss you. So it was great. We started obviously a couple of weeks before the show, prepping everything. And then on the Friday, I drove up, did the preliminary setup, followed by Andy, my colleague from the UK office, to put the rest onto the tables. And then obviously enjoyed the bar in the evening. Still part of the show, socialising with everyone. And people really interested about what we're doing as a brand, what projects we've got coming. Obviously, we announced a project on the Friday, which got a lot of interest. And we also announced the January to April releases, which I think we'll cover in another show. So it was a great weekend. When you get to Telford next year, you'll think, where's that year gone? But I can't wait to do it again.
We got a lot of questions since the last episode. Those are the ones about everything that flies. The questions about cars I collect for the show with Jürgen. But maybe you can touch on some of them here. For example, from Gruppenmaster about some more classic airliner.
Definitely looking at airliners. It's one of the niches of Revell that we do airliners where some other brands don't. Classic airlines, I can't promise anything. As with a couple of these questions, I can't reveal anything, but I can definitely add it to the list. So if we get lots and lots of questions or requests about a subject, then it obviously makes us start to consider it, especially if we can make a series of products out of it. So when considering, we always look to see if we can get more than one release. So whether that be different liveries, which is obviously always an option with airliners, or different versions. So the A319, the A320, A321, that's a series of products that we can make from shared tooling for a lot of it. So we look at aspects like that. So I can't promise anything, but sure. I mean, it's always a possibility with Revell.
Here about the Tornado twin pack, I think here you have good news.
Yeah, it's already out. So you should be able to get it soon. I think normally it's obviously firstly available in Europe and in Germany primarily, and then it takes a few extra weeks to get to the UK, for example, just because of the logistics of shipping out the product.
And then Gavin here asked about the reissue of the 172 Halifax. That seems to be quite pricey on eBay, on the remaining kits.
Yeah, I mean, as I was speaking with the classic airliner, I can never promise anything. But with the Halifax, there's definitely been a lot of requests. So I'm sure we'll see it pop up again. It's within our interest as a company to release it when there's demand. So I'm sure we'll be seeing it within the next few years, but I can't tell you when exactly.
I think a little bit the same goes for the other ones here. Lockheed Constellation is requested here.
Yeah, I mean, we should just maybe give a warning to any eBay sellers for these products that sell them within the next couple of years, because there'll definitely be a re-release at some point. So, yeah, make the money whilst you can.
Same on the AG-111 and the U-88.
Again, the 30-second bombers, they go for silly money on second-hand sites, and it's something we've been requested time and time again. There seems to be a real interest in larger bombers, bombers at a larger scale, I should say. So it's something that we're looking at. We obviously have some in the back catalogue, so I'm sure we'll see them released in the next few years. I'd much rather release stuff made in the last 20 years rather than releasing stuff from 40 years ago. So when we have stuff in the catalogue, we'd be crazy not to release it at some point. Obviously, as I said, like a broken record, I can't promise when, but definitely within the next couple of years, they all sort of factor into my plans as a product manager for aircraft. And then finally, on the last question, the BV222, I see that is due for release. Yeah, by the time this show goes out, I would imagine it's imminent. And the same with the BAE 146, that's also due for release. It will be out in December. So, yeah, very soon, in time for Christmas.
So then we would like to touch on some of the models we talked about in previous episode that are works in progress. The Hawker first.
Yeah, on the Friday of Telford, we made an announcement at midday that we will be creating a Hawker Hunter T7 30-second scale. So we have a single-seater 30-second scale Hunter already, the F6, FJ9, and the Swiss versions. So we'll be using the tooling from that, but also adding parts for a two-seat conversion. So essentially getting rid of the single-seat nose, adding on the two-seat nose, and some other differences, including the exhaust at the back and some various other bits. So that's currently being designed by a chap at the other side of the world, shall we say, and it should be released towards the end of 2025. So it's a funny story. Over the weekend at Telford, we had a board that said Hawker Hunter T7, a 27-year wait. And as people were going up to it and saying, I remember when the single-seater was released, I would joke, I don't remember because that's when I was born. So, which didn't endear me to some people, but they saw the funny side in the end. So the original kit is obviously pre-2000, but only just really. But it was regarded as one of the best kits out there for, well, sort of the only kit out there for an injection molded Hunter. The only other option was a vac form echelon kit. So, essentially people thought, well, the T7 must be coming at some point 20 years ago, and it, for some reason, was never tooled. So we're correcting that wrong now and adding the relevant parts. It's hopefully going to be at a very good price point. We'll wait for Nuremberg to confirm the price. I don't want to get myself in trouble. But I think people will be surprised for such a big kit, how much we'll be putting out for. And so we'll be releasing the T7, T7A, and we also announced the paint schemes that were available or will be available with kit. So we'll be putting 3 decal schemes in there. One of the Black Arrows, Peter Latham's aircraft, the CO of the squadron. And then also we've got a 208 Squadron, Buccaneer training squadron, essentially. So that will have the different parts for a T-7A with the Buccaneer half console in the cockpit. And then we'll also have a Dutch aircraft from the Netherlands Air Force. Got to keep the Europeans happy as we are Revell. So we'll have that. So we've got 3 very different schemes in there. One totally black, one wraparound camo, one silver with orange. So very, very different. So hopefully that keeps people happy. Obviously, we'll be looking to do other releases in the future. People can speculate and guess as to what they will be. But the T7, T7A will be the first one. So yeah, looking forward to that. We're working on it at the moment. It will be a bit of trial and error with the design. So we 3D scanned the original kit because for some reason we don't have the CAD in the archive, so we don't have the computer data to work from. So we've had to reverse engineer. So putting together part of the old kit, scanning it, and then designing using that. That's great, but obviously each kit we mold is slightly individual. There might be slightly bits of warp, or it might be perfect, but we'll have to 3D print and check the fit works perfectly each time. So that will take a bit of effort on our side, but at the end of the day, the aim is it shouldn't be a conversion kit, it should be a pure production kit in its own right. So fingers crossed, and we'll do our hardest or work our hardest to make it come to fruition at the end of 2025. I think it's currently scheduled for November, so right towards this end of the year, next year. But yeah, hopefully people are excited to see it.
All right, then the next one we talked about in the previous weeks was the Gloster, the Meteor. What's coming up there?
Yeah, so a while ago we spoke about changing the version from an from an F3 to an F8 FR9. So we're really keen to keep people updated with what we're doing with the Meteor. After such a time of sort of it staying stagnant and there being no progress, we're really aware of that. So trying to keep people as updated as possible. And we felt it a good opportunity at Telford to present something tangible. So I asked the designer to design or focus on an area where we could then have a physical model. He's not due to finish the design till the end of January, which he's worrying about anyway. So I said, well, focus on something small, think a cockpit or an engine. And he jumped at the chance to do the engine as a nice little sub-project. So on the stand, we had 3D prints of 2 Derwent engines with their display stands. And within the first release, we'll have these 2 engines, obviously as injection molded parts within the kit, with 2 display stands. So you could have both engines out and the plane fully buttoned up, or you could have one in the engine bay, whatever combination you want. So it's nice to be able to present something physical. Each of those engines with the stand had 48 parts, and trust me, we could have gone further with it, but we felt 48 was already quite a few. So yeah, a lot of parts within the engines, and people were really infused to see where we're going with that sort of project. It's sort of a departure from what we've done maybe with something like the Hurricane, where the ethos behind it was a big model at a lower price. This is definitely more towards the norm of a bigger model, and with it a slightly higher price, but we're hoping to then include all the detail that's needed, such as engines, gun bays, fuel tank, for example. We had the great opportunity of seeing a Meteor disassembled for our viewing pleasure at the RAF Museum, which gave us a real insight into the detail. And we've been helped by the guys over at the Yorkshire Air Museum, especially the restoration of their night fighter that they have there. Graham's been invaluable in helping. So he was able to open up panels and everything. So you should really see the effects of that research within the final CAD. And as we go into Nuremberg or maybe even London Toy Fair, and if I can convince the designer Bolton IPMS show, then we'll have the first full 3D print finished for those shows to show off to our consumers. I can't make any promises. It just depends when the design's finished and how much the designer enjoys his Christmas. But if I push him along a bit, then maybe we can have it for those shows to show off. But yeah, for Telford, we had the engine, which is fantastic. And there's some images of the exploded diagram that we created for it as well. So yeah, hopefully people are excited to see that. And if you have any suggestions, send them in. We'll add an email to the description here that's at the end of all our blogs as well. And just make sure you reference Gloster Meteor and it will be sent on to me. So if you have ideas on schemes or anything like that, I'll promise to try and read them all. So send them in.
Okay, cool. Then we have the F-35.
Yeah, so the F-35 is nearing completion, which is good. It's being shipped to Germany at the end of this week. So we're recording it in the last week of November. Yeah. And this morning I approved the tools, bar 1 or 2 comments. So the changes will be made and then put onto a pallet and sent across the world to us. So, we're recording at quite an opportune time. The tools have just been signed off this morning as we're recording. So that the schemes are all finished and we've presented those a few times. We'll have a Dutch, a German, and a US Air Force version within the first release. And at Telford, we had 2 built models painted with decals on the stand for the first time, which was nice to see. It's good to get feedback from the modelers as well, just to make sure we could incorporate any changes. We've had a few people build models for us just to double check that we were along the right course. Obviously, I build quite a few as the product manager, but it's always nice to get second opinions. Yeah. And those comments have been fed into the tool shop in China. So this product's due for release in March, I believe. So not long to wait. It takes a while to ship the tools across the world because they go via sea. Air freight is just, we do it sometimes, but it's very, very expensive. You can imagine the weight of them makes it expensive to ship them. So we send via sea a lot of the time, and with the Red Sea problems that are still sort of ongoing and the delays, it means it's taking a bit longer to get across to Europe. But March is possible. We normally say 2 months generally to ship the tools as a sort of rough way of estimating. And then a month of production is normally needed for the first batch. So we should have plenty of time for March. Mm-hmm. So, watch this space and hopefully people have got it on pre-order. If not, why not?
Yeah. How many were built up front by you and other model builders?
Yeah, I'm trying to think how many I've built. I've probably built about 10 at this stage. Oh. I've got it down. I can build them. I will say that's not full builds every time. Sometimes, for example, if you're doing it, checking the in-flight configuration, you might skip some of the steps like the detail in the bomb bay because you've checked that on an earlier version. But yeah, probably about 10. My wife is getting very fed up of seeing F-35s around the house. But across other people, I've probably sent out about 6, I think, to individual people of the second shot. So we've had comments come in from that, which is good. Hopefully we're in a good place with the F-35. I've said a lot at the weekend at Telford that we're entering a congested marketplace. There are a lot of F-35s around there, and we know that. So we've done a lot with the design to hopefully make it the best one out there. Especially for the price. So we've gone full beast mode with the weapons. We have pilot ladder, fog covers, a pilot figure. So we have quite a bit within the package. And obviously the design and the RAM is always the point of contention with F-35s. And we've really put effort into making that as subtle as possible, but whilst still being there. So yeah, hopefully when people start seeing videos and reviews, they're surprised. Well, not surprised. They're infused by the products and want to go and buy it. So time will tell.
To our last topic, which are some new color sets.
Yes, so we have a set of 4 sets of color sets that we've introduced. These are in addition to the sort of aqua color line that we have as our standard thing, and the formulation is based on aqua color. But the key thing is they're pre-finned, so they're designed to be placed straight into the airbrush. You don't have to fin them anymore. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. And they should go straight on. That's the idea behind them. I have a set beside me now. So one of the differences with aquacolor as well, between the color set, is these come in what we call dropper bottles. So they have sort of a pointed nib that makes it easier to put into the airbrush, more precise essentially. And also the colors are different to the standard aquacolor range. So they're catered towards sort of FS colors or specific groups of products. So for the first one, we have the airliners, for example, which has common colours needed for them, whites being one of them, but also, some of the license or specific stuff, so British Airways, Lufthansa, the big products within our range. So the idea is you could buy them and they're specific to an airliner product. The same with cars, but I'll let Jürgen speak about that a bit more in another show. I think maybe, Alex, you have some info on them, though.
Yeah. Well, what I was reminded of is that when I totally love this Gulf Racing design, the Gulf Racing livery. And I did a blog posting about that several years ago, and since then it's about the history and how it came up, and the whole Gulf Racing design, and it's one of the most read blog postings ever, because people are searching for the history of the design and how the colors come together. So I think a lot of people would be grateful for having that as a color set, and don't have to mix the colors to get them right. That could be a really successful set, I think. And then we have some of the World War II planes.
Yeah, and the key here is to say that they are created to sort of match the real world colours, rather than being Revell proprietary colours. They are designed, so RLM, for example, for the Luftwaffe subjects, and then they've matched to FS colour for the Second World War British aircraft. Obviously, these have British names as well: cockpit green, for example, dark green, things like that. So the idea is to, if you're primarily into that subject matter, you can buy these sets, and it sets you up essentially. It gives you most of the colours you need, plus obviously some of the essentials you'll need from the aqua colour range that aren't product specific. Black in some cases, you'll just have to buy standards. But the idea is that for the main colours on these subjects, you can buy these, bang them straight in your airbrush, and paint away.
That's it for this show, for our 5th show. Thanks for your time, Luke, and I hope the plane going back to Heathrow is going to be without any emergencies or technical issues.
Yeah, so do I. I've got my first Christmas dinner of the year with some friends. So
wow.
And I've got to get straight from the airport to that dinner. So fingers crossed all goes well.
Okay, thanks. Have a nice slide into the new year. How do you say it in English? I mean, in German, you say Guten Rutsch. It's like a good slide into the new year. That's what you say before 1st of January. And then from the 1st of January, you say Happy New Year. But in December, you wish the people a good slide. Is there something similar in English as well?
I don't think there is. People might tell me in the comments there is, but I think we just say, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. I don't think there is a phrase that we have, but maybe people can tell us in the comments.
Interesting. Yeah, tell us in the comments. Okay, then until next time.
Thank you very much. Have a good New Year, Christmas, and see you at Nuremberg maybe.
Hello, and now I'm joined by Ihab again, and we are going to talk about one new tool in the military section. Hi Ihab, how are you?
Hey Alex, I'm fine, and you?
Thanks. Yeah, as muss. It has to, as we say here in East Westphalia.
Yeah.
It's December, so
yeah, 12th month.
That is a perfect transition to the product, because the artwork on a box is also in the snow and in the cold.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's about the Leopard tank. So what can you tell us about the Leo?
Yeah, this Leo, it's an upgrade of our existing tool. So we are now step by step upgrading our whole Leopard assortment. Yeah, we started now in the scales 1 to 72 with the Leopard, and we have here a lot of exterior differences, like more armor on the front, on the sides. The sensors and optics are updated. We have CPU system, so there are a lot of new exterior grades and bulkier overall appearance. So a new tank.
Yes, they started in 2017. On the 5th of May, there was a contract with a value of 760 million between the Bundeswehr and Kraus Maffei Wegmann, and they upgraded 104 Leos. 68 were mothballed, so they were stored somewhere. That were the version 284. And then there were 16 surplus Leos, 2A6 NL from the Dutch army, and 20 existing 2A7. And the first one was delivered in October 2019, so 5 years ago. We can take a look here at the build model together with the pack shot.
Yeah,
it's level 4, right?
Right. We have some updated boxes. You'll see in the next months a little bit of maybe more things. So this is a level 4 model. It's a simple update of our Leopard 2A6 in scale 1:72. The base model is like the original. The original Leopard 2A7V is based on the Leopard 2A6 or a Leopard 2A7. So it's an update version, and we have done that for our Model 2 with the Leopard 2A7V.
So and the 1:72 version is how many parts? Is under 200 parts, right?
It's under 200 parts. So we have for our 2A7V 189 parts, and for the 2A6 around 150 parts. So there are a lot. To be honest, there are some parts in this kit that are not used for the Leopard 2A7V. They can be ignored, but roundabout there are above 30 parts more.
And there are some decals as well, right?
We have here one version from the Truppenübungsplatz in Munster, where we have seen the Leo 2A7V first time. So it was my first Leopard 2A7V that I've seen in real life. So I thought, let us make a model of it, and the same decals and license plate. New model, an upgrade in our assortment, in our military vehicle assortment, a very good looking tank, more bulkier. For me, it's a very, very, very good looking new tank in our assortment.
Yeah, it's really a highlight. Yeah. Cool. All right. Then I would say have nice holidays. We will see us in the next show in the new year, I think, right before Nuremberg, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Alex.
Have a great time. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.